how much of your money should you actually lock into CPF Life? Most people will try to answer that by treating it like an investment. They work out the returns, check how long it takes to get back their money, and some even compare it to the S&P 500. But here's the problem. CPF Life was never meant to be an investment. It is insurance. And once you see it that way, the answer completely changes. In this video, I will show you what CPF Life is actually for, why the popular just invest it yourself advice may not always be right, and how much should you actually lock into your CPF Life when you turn 55. Let's not waste any time and let's jump right in. So one way to think about CPF Life is to think about how you treat your health insurance. You don't calculate its return. You don't ask when you break even on the premiums, and you don't feel cheated when you are healthy and never make a claim. Okay, some people do feel cheated, but that's beside the point. You pay for insurance simply because you want to cover your backside from a massive hospital bill that could wipe you out. That's the whole point of getting insurance. CPF Life works the exact same way, where it just covers you from a different risk. And that is living so long that your money eventually runs out. This is called longevity risk. And the one thing about this risk is that you can't fix it like the way you fix everything else. For example, you can wait out a market crash, cut back through a bad year, or find a new job if you lose your current one. But if you use up all your money at 92 years old with no income and no way to earn more, you can't recover from that. So that's where CPF Life comes in. If you turn 55 in 2026, your basic retirement sum would be $110,200. The full retirement sum would be 2 times of that, and the enhanced retirement sum is another 2 times of FRS. Then whatever you lock in becomes a monthly payout for life from the age of 65. For example, if you have the BRS, you get about $950 a month. At the FRS, about $1,780. And at the ERS, about $3,440 a month for as long as you live. Now, these payouts may look proportional, where the more money you lock in, the more payouts you get. But if you normalize each plan to the amount you put in, you will notice that the FRS and ERS bars would come in shorter than BRS. That's because the CPF bonus interest only applies to your first $60,000. For members who are aged 55 and above, CPF pays an extra 2% on the first 30K and an extra 1% on the next 30K after that. Then anything above 60K earns the base 4% interest. So while locking in more money into CPF Life does get you bigger payouts, the deal gets less and less generous the higher you climb, which then raises the obvious question. If every extra dollar earns slightly less, why would you still want to top up more money? The answer lies in something no private investment can do. The first is obvious. CPF Life is lifelong, government-backed, and carries zero market risk. So while the stock market can be like, whee, the CPF Life payouts would just come in steady from PP every month. The second one is the clever part, and it is called risk pooling. When you join CPF Life, your premiums go into one big shared pool together with everyone else's premiums. This is actually the same thing MINDEF does with group insurance for NSFs. Every NSF pays into the same group of insurance pool from day one of BMT, and most of them will ORD without ever making a claim. But if you ever get an injury or get hospitalized during service, you will get a payout. Third, as someone on Reddit puts it, CPF Life is priced with basically zero profit margin because it is a government scheme. So it's far more competitive than anything in the private market can sell you. There's no agents earning commission, no advertising budget, no shareholders taking a cut. Every dollar that gets put goes straight back into that payout. That's something private annuities simply cannot match. And the fact that no private insurer can beat it tells you exactly how good of a deal CPF Life is. Also, here's something most people don't usually talk about. As we get older, our ability to manage money tends to get worse. Cognitive decline is real, and the scammers know it. This is also why the elderly is one of the most targeted groups for scams. That also shows that for an 85-year-old APEC, a payout that just lands into your accounts every month is a lot safer than a portfolio that they have to keep watching and rebalancing. Because at that age, who got enough energy to do that all, other than Buffett Gong Gong, of course. Now, if you want to start investing, you need to keep your costs low. That's why I use interactive brokers. With interactive brokers, you are paying just 35 cents per trade on the US stock market. That's one of the lowest in the industry. They also give you access to Ireland domiciled ETFs, which can save you a chunk of dividend withholding taxes. And if you are not sure what to invest in, they also have a bunch of free company research tools built right into the platform, so you can do your homework before putting your hard-earned money in. Check out my link in the description to get started. Alright, now back to the video. Now I know what some of you are thinking. All of that sounds good on paper, but what about the returns? And if you are worried about the payouts, why not just buy dividend stocks and collect passive income every quarter? Sounds good, right? But here's the part that's different. Dividends can be cut, companies can go bust, and if you live to 95, you need an income that can still be there for as long as you live. That's something no dividend stock can ever promise you, because it can get affected by a bad quarter, a change in company policy, or even an economic downturn. Meanwhile, the monthly payout from CPF Life doesn't depend on any company deciding to keep paying you. So the payout is reliable, and best of all, it is guaranteed for life. But of course, at some point you still have to ask, given that you lock in such a huge chunk of money, when can you actually get back all of it? Take the FRS as an example. You lock in about $220,000, and from the age of 65, you start collecting about $1,780 a month. If you add up those payouts year by year, somewhere around the age of 75 to 76, the cumulative payouts would have exceeded what you have originally set aside. This is roughly the same for BRS and ERS too, where the break-even is also roughly around there. After that, it just keeps paying you no matter what. If you live to 85, you would have collected roughly double of what you set aside. Live to 95, that's around 3 times. So yes, if you pass on early, the raw return will look unimpressive. But as we have discussed earlier, the whole point of CPF Life isn't to give you the highest possible return, it's to cover you for as long as you live. Check this out. This is how the return changes depending on how long you live. If you pass away right around the average lifespan of 80 years old, your return would be around 2+%. But if you keep living past 90, the return slowly climbs to 4 or even 5%. Now, I know some people will be like, "Che, 5% only ya? My stock can return 20% lah." And yes, maybe it can, but can your stock continue to guarantee you income at 95? Can it promise that it won't drop 40% the year you retire and you need to start drawing money? Cannot, right? So while the returns from CPF Life are pretty meh, the one thing it is good at is that it pays you no matter what happens for as long as you live. Now, of course, before you be like, "Wow, sounds good ah, let's go all in into CPF Life ah," there's one real trade-off you need to know about. When you pass on, the interest that your money earns does not go to your family. Instead, it stays in the pool to fund everyone else's lifelong payments. And how much your family gets back will depend on which plan you get. For example, the standard plan will leave the least amount of money behind, simply because your entire retirement account gets transferred into the pool. Meanwhile, the basic plan will leave behind the most amount of money, because only a small portion of your savings goes into the pool, while the rest stays in your own retirement account. This also means that it all depends on what you want. If you want the highest payouts from day one, you can go for the standard plan. But in return, you will leave behind the least amount of money for your family. Meanwhile, if you believe that you will live a very long time and want your income to grow over the years, then perhaps the escalating plan may serve you better. Otherwise, if leaving more money behind for your family matters the most and you don't mind having a lower payout, then you could go for the basic plan. So then, how much should you actually lock into CPF Life? According to a study from NUS and the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, the minimum a single elderly person needs for a basic standard of living, aka to pay for things like food, transport and healthcare, is around $1,492 a month back in 2022. Meanwhile, according to Singapore's 2023 Household Expenditure Survey, Singapore households aged 65 and above spend about $2,349 a month on average. So if you divide it among one Agong and one Ama, that's roughly $1,175 per person. What this means is that the full retirement sum is the minimum you should go for if you want your payout to at least cover your essentials. But if you can afford it, the ERS at $3,440 a month would cover not just your essentials, but with some additional money to spend, like eating out more often, taking more Grabs, or even go for more holidays. Meanwhile, if you only go with the BRS, the $950 a month will not even clear the minimum income standard. Instead, CPF actually designed BRS with the assumption that you have something else on top, like a rental property or investment income. So while BRS can work, you should only go into it if you have a real plan in mind. So at the end of the day, it's not about whether CPF Life is a good investment or not, because it was never trying to be one in the first place. Instead, it is a hedge against the one financial risk you can't survive, which is living longer than your money is able to last you. When you see it that way, you come to the realization that it's some of the best longevity protection you can buy anywhere, where it is fully guaranteed by the government, and knowing that no matter how long you live, the money will simply never stop coming in. Anyway, that's all for this video. Hope you found it useful. Like, share and subscribe as I'll be posting new videos every week.